Hello everyone, today we have a new aged Professor X build. Before I go into any of the deck explanation, first I wanted to say thank you guys so much for all of the support. It has made my transition back into creating content seamless and a really exciting one. And with that, I'm going to be adding some streams back into the mix over on Twitch, twitch.tv/TLSG snap. I'm going to be live, probably live right now. I'm going to be going live just shortly after this video publishes, so if you're watching this video and you want to see me live, definitely check out the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TLSG snap, or follow the link in the description. I would love to have you in chat. But going into today's build, Move and Professor X kind of go hand in hand now at really allowing us to control that lever of how much or how little we win that Professor X lane by. And it's not all in on Professor X, but if you get him, it's usually a pretty good play if you can have enough tempo early enough. And this build wasn't created by me. A user named W created it on Twitter or X. I'll leave a link to their profile in the description below. They're always creating really cool things, so if you want to check it out, follow the link in the description. But they tweeted this build out a few days ago, and it has been phenomenal. It has not disappointed. There are so many ways to scale your power in Angela or Thena, and their original list didn't use Thena. It used Nightcrawler in its place. It didn't use Captain Marvel. It used Mrs. Marvel in its place, but I've really enjoyed this version of the shell. Captain Marvel is just a force to be reckoned with, and Thena is the exact same thing. Sometimes Thena is going to give you that tempo to be able to win the game by itself. Just having that pressure in that additional lane can be so dominant. And so we have Angela, we have Thena, both fantastic ways to scale. We have Elsa Bloodstone, so if we're capping out a location, we're going to get extra power on our movement cards. So Jeff, Captain Marvel, Vision, Kitty Pryde, we're going to get a lot of utility from that. And then we have Magneto, so if we lock down a lane with Professor X, or even if we just want to reposition the opponent's cards, Magneto is a great way to finish off the game. Sometimes we'll pull them into the Kraven lane, other times we're just going to pull them away from anything that we care about so that we can really focus on competing in the other two locations. And just having that lever or that control of where that power falls on the last turn in your flexible movement style cards is so valuable. It cannot go understated enough how important that is to be able to, one, keep up in the tempo game in early game, and then two, be able to bring it home in the late game, because you can switch that if you find that the opponent overcommits to one location. We're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. Thank you guys as always for being here. And as a reminder, if you want to check me out live, I'm live right now. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm live right now. Check me out if you want to see it. I would love to have you. Let's go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. I hope you guys enjoy. This will be the last turn of the game. We get the retreat, and we will gladly take it where we can. Professor X is so uncommon now, and he can be defeated by a lot of movement style builds, but whenever you're a deck that is not anticipating the Professor X, it can be so detrimental. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. Next up, we have Box Devil. The first location is Washington, D.C. We have nothing that gets value there. We don't have a Dr. Doom or anything similar, so we're just gonna play our cards like normal. You have to be on the lookout for what kind of deck the opponent's running. We can always potentially change it if it benefits them too greatly. We do have Angela, which is a huge kind of stat stick in this build, giving us a lot of flexibility in how and where and what we decide to lock in. And in all of her black and white pixel glory, they do have Jeff, so a Professor X lock wouldn't be as effective, but with how many movement tools we have, it still would be rather effective. We're going to go ahead and play, they have the Nocturne of their own, so they have quite a bit of movement, it looks like. Maybe this is a Namora deck. Maybe the next one ends up being like a Wong into Namora into an Odin is the ideal line. Could potentially be what they're going after. And so with this one, we have Kraven, which does help if they decide to move any of their cards. I want to play him. I think we have to do something like Captain Marvel. Wow, the skip 1/5. This definitely has to be some kind of Namora build, right? We're not going to proc Thena this turn, but we can on the last turn of the game. We can either do a big Magneto, depending on what it looks like they're running, which I think a Namora over here. No. Maybe just a really bad draw? Skip for almost the first 5 turns. Lockjaw. Could be bad. Could be bad for us. I mean, Lockjaw is still impacted by Magneto, right? We just stack all of their cards over to the right lane. Pull everything over. And then maybe move this so that it gives a little bit more padding. Or we keep it. Captain Marvel's that mobile monster at being able to give us another 5, 6, 7 power in the left lane if we need it. But I do think they'll dump something here. You know what? I changed my mind again. I am going to go ahead and move the Jeff. We're going to use Magneto to rip the Lockjaw away, rip the Thor away. We don't want to change any locations with their Nocturne. And so if they move it, we're going to move it right back. And I think we should be able to surprise them enough that it's not going to be great for them. They do a double drop into the middle location. And so whatever they wanted to rotate. So maybe the Mjolnir and then a big card. Nope. So the Yellow Jacket and then Cersei wanting to do a big last turn change on all of the cards in that lane for a pretty cool idea. But with the little bit of disruptiveness of the Magneto, wasn't quite able to be there. We're going to go ahead and grab the cheap 2 and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Coco Bird, and hopefully we won't force a retreat. If we do, hopefully we at least swindle 2 out of it. Asgard is fantastic for this style build. I'm going to go Angela, and then I think Elsa, and then something like Thena plus Jeff is huge value into Asgard. I'm going to go ahead and snap into it. We can then move the Jeff out, play Captain Marvel into mid. She's going to be 7 power after everything is said and done. We should have about 14 power in mid after this play happens. I think it's around 14. And so we'll draw the extra cards in, and it puts us in a really good spot. Castle Blackstone is an interesting one. We could try to compete for it, but I really like the idea of just focusing our fire into Asgard, make sure we get those additional cards that are not going to happen now, courtesy of the Nocturne. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Is that our Nocturne? That's our Nocturne, isn't it? That's unfortunate. Our Nocturne absolutely stabs us in the back here. Let's play a Thena, and I'm going to go ahead and play Jeff into mid. They did snap back. Why? I'm not sure, but I do think they're going to... Ooh, they didn't move the the double Nocturne is wild. Into Quake and Shake. Unfortunate. They move the Asgard over to the left, so they don't have to change it. Bravo. Bravo, they get the extra card draw. Is that worth the snapback? I don't know. They do have extra energy here. So maybe it was. I don't know. Time will tell. I'm going to go ahead and play Captain Marvel over to the right. We have the Kitty Pryde that can't be played into the middle location, unfortunately. So that is going to get thrown to the right as well. And on the last turn, it's probably going to be Vision plus Kitty Pryde so that we can proc our Thena, give ourselves the best possible chance to continue scaling there and have Captain Marvel where she can move out and impact another lane in the process. I'm trying to figure out their kind of in-game because it was on curve. It was 2, 3, and then the Nocturne plus Quake came down. So they have an Angela, an Elsa, and a Kitty Pryde of their own. Interesting. They just didn't focus fire on that early. And so maybe Shadow King is in the mix. If the issue is if we move Jeff, we won't get the extra +2 here, but Captain Marvel can move in for the extra plus whatever if we need it. We lost this lane by 1, so they do have 7 energy here. I'm not feeling super confident. This is going to be for a big 8 cube swing, and I am not feeling confident whatsoever. This is going to be our best play line. It gives us a lot of power here and the flex to have this come into mid. More than 15. They do have the Nocturnes that are those mobile cards. Maybe it's this. I don't know. I think they move at least one of them, both the Nocturnes. Wow. And so maybe, just maybe, we got lucky enough in the Vision play and then the subsequent Captain Marvel that will move over there. I'm assuming we'll have to have the Captain Marvel move over there. And so the Loki comes down. That's fine. The bumped up Kitty Pryde, bringing it up to 21. With our 8 and 2, so that's an extra 10, and then 5 on top of that. Does that add the stats? 3, 4, 5. It does by 1, right? Oh my god, I am so glad we moved that vision for a massive, massive 8 cube swing. Oh my god, that was incredibly close. Such a tight margin. We will gladly take it where we can. Huge gains, plus 28 snap points, bringing us down to 309. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. Next up, we have Mandorican. The first location is the sewer system. We have our Angela and Nocturne, so that's a good kind of start to some ramping power. And then we have Professor X to use eventually. And we do get our Kitty Pryde, courtesy of Hell's Kitchen. This is going to double in power after they play their next card. Angela into Thena plus Kitty Pryde is so much power that I'm going to go ahead and snap into it. I don't know what kind of build they're running. And actually, I think I play this into the left lane. Kitty Pryde being able to continue to scale Angela is big. Thena will be in the lane outside of the Angela lane. That way we have 2 kind of cards that are scaling and pressuring power on the board. Never mind. Let's do the Thena, and then I'm doing Kitty Pryde in Shuri's lab. Every single turn, we're doing Kitty Pryde into Shuri's lab because that becomes so obnoxiously big, so obnoxiously quickly. And so they have a Kyera, and so it looks more like a Gilgamesh Zoo style build. That's fine. On the last turn, we're going to rip Shuri's lab away so that their Gilgamesh won't be able to double in power. Our Kitty Pryde is going to be obnoxious by then, and all is going to be right with the world. Let's go Nocturne, Kitty Pryde, let our Thena scale, let Kitty Pryde double up once again, and then we're going to let it double up one more time on turn number 5 before ripping it away on turn number 6. And so the Khazar, I assume we see a blue Marvel and then maybe some flood cards. Maybe not blue Marvel because they don't have a lot out on the board. So maybe we see Squirrel Girl on the last turn along with the Gilgamesh. Either way, perfectly fine. Let's go. Let's go Kitty Pryde, double up once again. We have extra energy here, right? The Kitty Pryde double up once again. The Elsa Bloodstone or the Jeff. Jeff is that kind of mobile resource, but then again, we have a 14 power Kitty Pryde to use for free wherever we choose to. I don't think we're going to be capping out any locations though, so we're going to do Kitty Pryde, Jeff. If they do a Gilgamesh this turn, it's a little unfortunate, but I think we can come over the top of it because that's our only concern is how big a Gilgamesh will get into Shuri's lab. And with the most recent over-the-air or patch, we can now position our Nocturne. That move would take effect before any kind of initiative would go into effect. So the blue Marvel does come down. Are they looking at doing a complete zoo on the last turn, just flooding all of their low-cost cards? And that be enough? Interesting. We have the 15 power Behemoth absolute unit on our side. Let's go ahead and move the Nocturne over. We could do Magneto, but I don't think that's our play. I think we do... I think we do this. Gives more power for the Thena. We'd come over the top of a Squirrel Girl. If they do an actual flood of like Ant-Man and a few other cards, then we would see there's the Squirrel Girl. And then the Gilgamesh, right? The Gilgamesh comes down. We're going to steal the cheeky 4 cubes away. We should with the 15 power Kitty Pryde. The Thena scaling in the left. We had the ability to move Jeff, but decided not to. We will gladly take the 4 where we can. It puts out a lot of power. It really does. But it's also very kind of telegraphed or transparent. And those are the decks that I like to go up against because then I know when I can snap, when I need to retreat. We're going to go ahead and take the 4. Let's jump over into the next one. Next up, we have Terry 82. The first location is Quantum Realm, which doesn't always bother us. With the Angela, if we get something like Kitty Pryde, Thena is also great in Quantum Realm. And then a couple of other cards are decent there as well. We can also move cards over. So I'm going to go ahead and play Angela into the right lane. Hope that it's not something like the Space Throne would be kind of rough. Hotel Inferno, we're okay to see. We do have Nocturne, so we could change one of the locations. I don't know that that's necessarily our angle. Let's go ahead and play Hope Summers. We're going to take out one of the cards off the top of their deck. This looks like a Gilgamesh Zoo style build, and they got a second Squirrel Girl, which is so unfortunate. And we can steal their Titania eventually. We can do a lot of really funny things now. Let's go ahead and do Nocturne. Let's do Kitty Pryde. I think I'm going to snap into it because that is just so unfortunate. Their board space is nil. Right off the jump. Their board space goes to almost absolute garbage. And we can steal the Titania, so even if they have Blue Marvel, Azar, to buff up these cards, and then Gilgamesh at the end, like they're not going to be able to really push or compete with the Angela. And then the left lane, we have the mobile cards and the Titania coming our way. It's just super unfortunate set of events. I kind of like the idea of doing Thena. We do... hold on. Goodness. Okay. I kind of like the idea of doing this, is what I was trying to get to. We do shuffle rocks into our deck. I think that's fine. We get the Thena here so we can at least kind of pressure that lane. I think we see a Blue Marvel come down here is the only like logical line. If they had the... We have turn 7. Kind of unfortunate. We have turn 7. Thena's coming down. We have our vision coming down. Angela is going to be able to scale dramatically. We don't want to play anything into this left lane until we have to. But we do have our Magneto now. I like the idea of doing Magneto. And then I'll move the vision for now. And I'm going to do Kitty Pryde here as well. That way we're not shuffling more rocks. We get double extra energy. And I'd be very, very surprised if they end up sticking this out. We are the future. I mean, we have so much power on the board. And we're going to steal a Titania our way as well, which is just kind of going to be the icing on the cake. And so we do stick it out. We do have initiative here because of just how much power we have. Sometimes you win by doing good plays. Sometimes you win because the opponent played Shanna. It happens. Every once in a while you get that just negative outcome, the worst possible thing. It happens. You roll with the punches, you move on, and you forget. We're going to go ahead and take the 2. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. Next up, we have Papa Sim. The first location is Central Park, so board space becomes kind of a concern. They play Hood first off, so I have to think maybe it's the Annihilus Cersei deck, but we'll see. We'll see if we're able to maybe intentionally clutter that location so that they can't send us in anything too impactful. The Demon comes down, so if they're looking to do into the Washington, D.C. is absurd. Let's go with Angela, Kitty Pryde. Next turn is going to be a Nocturne plus Kitty Pryde, so we can change the Washington, D.C. lane. That's ridiculous. What is this build? The Hood and then Sabretooth? Are they going to go Venom here? Interesting. All right, let's go with what we were going with. They do go with Venom. And so Venom is susceptible to our Magneto, which is really good for us. Sabretooth becomes free. That's also susceptible to Magneto. We can also lock in a location on turn 5 with our Professor X and then move our cards out as needed. I kind of like that idea. That locks in this left lane, and then we're just looking to push one of the other locations with Magneto being able to reposition the Venom to potentially stack it with like Null or wow. Also unfortunate. So Carnage destroying the Wolverine. Does Wolverine stack in the left as well? No, he goes over to the right. And then Sabretooth comes down there as well. The left lane should be heavily secured. depending on what they play, if I can pull both Sabretooth and Wolverine, then we have a shot here. And it looks like we may get the absurd 4 cubes. Super unfortunate. We move Nocturne to overcome the Wolverine. The left lane is still locked in place, and they have 45 points in mid. We will take the weird 4 cubes where we can. Let's go ahead and jump over into one more. Next up, we have Emily. The first location is Project Pegasus, so we get additional energy. I'm going to go ahead and utilize that to start capping out one of the locations. We have our Elsa Bloodstone. We have Nocturne. I don't want to use Magneto until we know exactly what we're looking at. The Iron Man is pretty concerning. We don't have any good way to rip that away, and especially with Olympia. Becomes really, really tough really fast. I think we do Jeff. Next turn is going to be maybe nothing if we don't draw into it. The Bifrost is really interesting, right? We can do Kraven. But he moves last in the order, I believe. So I don't think he would get as buffed up as we would want. So Iron Man, Ravonna. This looks like a Living Tribunal build. But they're stacking into the Iron Man lane already, which is really, really interesting. The debris, I don't know what this is anymore. No idea. I'm going to go ahead and play Captain Marvel into mid. She's going to get the bonus from Elsa Bloodstone. Cards are going to move after this, and so maybe we don't. Maybe we just do something like this and just do a soft change. That way, Raven's going to get really buffed up. He's going to get buffed up once from this and then once from the locations. Captain Marvel won't get that bonus, but I think that's okay. Wait. We don't want to do that. I changed my mind. I want to have space to potentially do a Professor X into the Bifrost if that's what it looks like it needs to be. But if we move Jeff over, then we're going to cap ourselves out. We won't have any space to play. So that's definitely not the ideal line we want to go with. Even though we would get additional boost on Kraven, I don't think it's worth it. All right, so the double drop in mid. Ooh, Dagger. And then White Widow, very interesting. So our lane is going to be capped out anyways, unfortunately. Their dagger is going to be huge. It's going to be bigger than our Kraven. Absolutely bigger than our Kraven. Maybe. That was so close. So incredibly close. They have the right lane locked in by 2, unfortunately. With the debris, with Ravonna, I have to... Well, we can pull the debris out, right? I mean, not this turn necessarily, but we have that option. I'm going to go ahead and play Vision. See what they played into... Okay, Sinister London could have been crazy, but we're both capped out except for the Iron Fist into Shadow King, which pushes it over into Sinister London, and it doesn't duplicate. So fortunate for them. Let's go with the good old... We're going to go with just the good old debris. It is going to put power here, which is the unfortunate thing, because whatever they play with the Sinister London lane is going to stick. Just an unfortunate location for sure. Magneto can't pull anything out. Unfortunate. Wait.
Higher, further, faster, baby.
Victory.
Wow.